When I read her last letter, I felt nothing. That was her cruelest punishment. I had turned her entire life upside down. But for now, let me start from the beginning. It always begins with something small. A subtle shift in tone, a hesitation just a beat too long before answering. A lingering glance that stretches beyond what feels natural. Maybe on some level, I knew before I truly understood. Maybe it was instinct, a sense honed over years of shared spaces, trust and routine now dulled by familiarity. But the signs were there, waiting for me to notice. Late nights at the office, just a few extra hours, babe. There's a big project deadline. Missed calls, texts left unanswered. Sorry, I was caught up in meetings. You know how these things go? New clothes, a fresh spritz of perfume. Just felt like treating myself. Excuses wrapped in sweet explanations. Her saccharine smile suggesting I was too naive to question anything. But I wasn't naive. I didn't confront her, not immediately. Confrontation hands liars the perfect stage to weave their falsehoods. I wasn't interested in hearing stories. I wanted facts, cold, undeniable, and unavoidable. So I observed. The first real confirmation came on a Thursday night. She had claimed she was working late, again. I waited, feigning sleep when she crept in at 1:34 a.m. The perfume she wore wasn't the one I recognized. A scent completely unfamiliar. The following day, I installed a keylogger on her laptop. Guilt didn't even cross my mind. 10 years of my life I had given her. 10 years of unwavering love, loyalty, and support. If she was ready to discard that, I refused to play the fool begging for scraps of the truth. In just 2 days, I had everything. Hotel bookings under false names, receipts from upscale restaurants, places I'd never been invited, text messages steeped in lust and secrecy. One in particular made my stomach knot. I can't stop thinking about last night. Your husband has no idea what he's missing. I stared at the screen, my hand gripping the armrest tighter with every second. My heartbeat remained steady. Too steady. I had braced myself for fury, for rage, for something raw and primal. Instead, there was only cold clarity. She had been cautious. I had to give her that. Deleting messages, scrubbing her browser history, keeping her phone always just out of my reach. But no one can be truly careful forever. Not forever. I scrolled past the flirtatious exchanges, beyond the secretive plans. I needed a face, a name. And there it was, Nathan. At first I didn't recognize him. Nathan Blake. The name stirred a vague memory from one of her corporate gatherings. Some polished executive type, all sleek charm and artificial confidence. The kind of man who probably saw a wedding ring as just another accessory. I stared at his picture. Smug, grinning, completely oblivious to the fact that he was about to become nothing more than a footnote in my wife's collapse. In that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't break things. I wouldn't give in to rage. I would simply walk away. Not from weakness, not from surrender, but because no punishment I could deliver would ever rival the pain of losing someone like me. The next morning, my routine didn't change. I kissed her goodbye before she left for work. I responded to her text with the usual warmth. I let her believe she still had me deceived. But as soon as she walked out the door, I began packing. No rush, no panic, just a deliberate, measured pace. I gathered only the essentials: clothes, necessary items, important documents. Everything else, the house, the furniture, the memories, I left behind like a discarded skin. By evening, I was already checked into a hotel. Then I sent the message. Just one simple sentence. I won't interfere with your happiness. Nothing more. No accusations. No fury. Just a cold, undeniable truth. I turned off my phone and let the silence speak the words anger never could. That was when her world began to unravel, and I wasn't even there to witness it. She called within seconds. The screen lit up with her name, vibrating urgently. Olivia, wife, flashing over and over. I didn't answer. The first few calls came fast, one after another, as though I hadn't seen them. Then the text followed. Olivia, what does that mean? Where are you? Olivia, baby, are you okay? Olivia, please talk to me. I'm freaking out. I set the phone aside and took a slow sip from my drink. The hotel room was silent, cold, sterile. A stark contrast to the chaos she was spiraling into. The calls kept coming again and again. By the 10th attempt, she left a voicemail. I didn't bother listening. I could imagine every word, her voice trembling with panic, maybe tinged with anger. Fear creeping in, the dawning realization that I wasn't reacting the way she had anticipated. Cheaters know how to brace for fury. They're ready for confrontations, for screaming matches, for tears and desperate pleas. But silence. Silence is what terrifies them. I let her marinate in it. An hour slipped by before I checked my messages. Olivia, I don't understand. Did something happen? Are you mad at me? Olivia, please talk to me. Olivia, come home. Let's talk. Olivia, Ethan, I swear, if you don't answer, I'll come find you. A small, satisfied smile crept onto my lips. She was unraveling. I typed out a brief reply, sharp and clear. I know. Then I turned my phone off once more. I didn't return that night, or the next. I made sure she had no trail to follow. No clues, no breadcrumbs, no hotel bookings in my name. I paid for everything in cash, rented a car, ensuring my plates wouldn't give me away. If she wanted to find me, she'd have to sit in that empty house and let her imagination do the work. And from what I later learned, that's exactly what she did. I didn't respond to texts, calls, or emails. Silence became her punishment. And for once, the woman who always had a plan, who always controlled every detail, was left grasping at nothing. By the third day, her messages shifted tone. Olivia, please just talk to me. I made a mistake, I know that. But we can fix this. Olivia, I don't even know what you think you know. But whatever it is, we can work through it. Olivia, I love you, Ethan. Please answer me. I love you. Amusing, I pictured her, sitting in our bedroom, clutching her phone, expecting the old Ethan to respond. Expecting me to break down, to beg for explanations, to ask if it had all been a mistake. But that Ethan was gone. The man she deceived, betrayed, humiliated. He vanished the moment I packed my bag. By the end of the week, I decided there was no need to fight, no reason to argue. Just an end to it all. I waited until she was at work, then quietly returned home. The house was exactly as I had left it, except for the visible signs of her unraveling. Dirty dishes cluttered the sink, a half-empty wine glass rested on the coffee table, and her laptop sat open, the screen filled with unsent messages addressed to me. She had tried everything, and yet not once had she confessed. Despite the silence, despite the fear creeping in, she still clung to the hope that she could talk her way out of it. I ignored the messages. Heading upstairs, I gathered the last of my belongings, nothing sentimental, just practical necessities. Before leaving, I set one final thing on the kitchen table, an envelope. Inside were printed copies of her messages with Nathan, screenshots of the hotel reservations, contact information for my lawyer, and a single handwritten note. You don't deserve closure. Then I walked out of that house for the last time and didn't look back. She showed up at my hotel 3 days later. I had expected it. I knew the moment would come when her denial shattered and reality hit her full force. I imagined her checking our shared bank accounts, discovering I had moved my money elsewhere, calling friends only to realize I had already told them everything. She had no control left. So when the knock came at my door, I wasn't surprised. I took my time answering. When I finally opened it, there she stood, disheveled, desperate, broken. Her usual polished appearance was gone. Her hair was hastily tied back, dark circles shadowed her eyes, and there was no makeup, no mask, just Olivia. Her lips quivered as she studied my face, searching for something. Anger, sorrow, even hope. I gave her nothing. She took a shaky breath. Ethan, please, just talk to me. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Talk about what? Her eyes flickered with guilt, her hand reaching out as if touching me could bridge the chasm between us. I stepped back, and the weight of that small gesture crushed her further. She swallowed hard. I never meant for this to happen. I nearly laughed. That was her best defense? I tilted my head. Never meant for what to happen? She hesitated, and there it was. That hesitation. Even now, after everything, she still couldn't admit it outright. She waited for me to say it first. She wanted to control the narrative, to confess only as much as she thought I already knew. She still believed she could manipulate the outcome. She thought wrong. I exhaled slowly. If you're not even going to admit it, why are you here? Her hands clenched into fists. You left me. Ah, there it was. Not an apology, not an admission of guilt, not I'm sorry, not I hurt you. Not even I betrayed you. Just blame. I let the silence stretch between us, watching her shift uncomfortably in the void. She wiped at her eyes with frustration. I just, I just needed something I wasn't getting at home. I felt nothing. She was expecting some reaction, anger, pain, even regret, but there was nothing left for her to break. My voice was calm, and now you have it. So why are you here? Her breath caught in her throat. Because I lost you. She said it as if the realization had just struck her, like the gravity of her choices had only now begun to settle in, that she had traded something irreplaceable for a fleeting thrill. I could have said so much. I could have told her how deeply her betrayal had cut me, how I had spent endless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering how I could have missed the signs, how every shared memory had become tainted with the stain of her lies. But none of it mattered anymore. Instead, I met her gaze and said, "You didn't lose me, Olivia. You threw me away." Her breath hitched, and that was when she finally broke. Her shoulders sagged, the fight drained from her eyes, the last fragile strand of hope that I might scream, fight, or believe we could fix this, snapped. She knew then I wasn't coming back. I watched her crumble, the weight of her choices crashing down on her. And for the first time, I saw genuine regret, not for her actions, but for what she had lost. She covered her mouth as a sob escaped. "Ethan, I love you. I was stupid. Please, I'll do anything to fix this." I studied her for a long moment. Then calmly I said, "I don't love you anymore." I closed the door. On the other side, I heard her cry. I heard her whisper my name one last time before she finally walked away. When the silence returned, I felt it. Freedom. Months passed, months spent rebuilding myself. While she drowned in the wreckage of her own making, I thrived. I moved into a sleek new apartment downtown. No remnants of the past lingered here. No faint trace of betrayal on the sheets. I started going back to the gym. I revived old hobbies and reconnected with people I had neglected during my marriage. I elevated myself. And Olivia, she descended into chaos. At first, she kept up appearances, posting staged photos, forcing smiles, pretending she was thriving. But anyone who truly knew her could see the cracks forming. The apartment she had fought so hard to keep felt hollow. Her relationship with Nathan, it crumbled in less than 3 months. Turns out men like him are drawn to the thrill of secrecy. Once the affair became public, the excitement vanished. She was no longer the forbidden temptation, just a woman who had betrayed her husband. I didn't need to check on her. The whispers from mutual friends told me enough. Friends who had quietly chosen sides let details slip. She struggled with bills, having grown too comfortable with the financial stability I provided. Nathan didn't step up to help. Her drinking increased. A friend mentioned seeing her alone at a bar, staring blankly at her phone, lost in her own regret. She tried dating, but nothing lasted. No man wanted to be the one who followed in my shadow. Slowly, the realization dawned on her. She had destroyed her own life for nothing. The best part? She had to witness my success. The final blow came when she reached out again. No phone call this time. A letter, handwritten, desperate. It arrived on a quiet Thursday night. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. The letter began with apologies. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know how much I despise myself for what I did." Then the self-pity crept in. "I lost everything. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it all away. I don't know how to live with that." And finally, the plea. "I don't deserve a second chance, but I miss you. Even if we can never be together again. I just want to talk. To see you, please, Ethan. Just one conversation. Just tell me you don't hate me." I folded the letter carefully and tossed it into the trash. I didn't need to respond. I already knew the truth. She wasn't seeking closure. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was reaching for a lifeline, hoping to convince herself that some piece of me still belonged to her, that she hadn't completely shattered the only person who had ever truly cared about her. But I didn't belong to her anymore. She ensured that the moment she let another man into our bed, and I wasn't going to be the one to shield her from the fallout of her own decisions. I grabbed my keys, stepped out of my apartment, and headed out to meet friends for drinks. The night was still young, and my life had never been better. If this twist surprised you, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Take a look at my other videos for more unforgettable stories.